So today we're going to put a receptacle in this closet on from an opposing wall. Um, there's a receptacle on the other side. We want to put one in here to plug our vacuum in. So all you need to do this is some Romex, the receptacle and cover, wire nuts, a cut-in box. So cut-in box has these little tabs on it. They're available at every hardware store. Pencil, wire strippers, screwdriver, tape measure, keyhole saw, and if you have one, a stud finder. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your receptacle is off. So if you have a tester, come and put this in and then go find the breaker and shut it off. If you don't have one of these, you could also just plug in a lamp, and when that goes out, you're good to go. So this is the opposing wall. The closet is on the other side. So I'm going to take a measurement off the wall, and I'm going to go to the other side, take that same measurement, because I don't want to be directly on the opposite side of this, because this is just a 2x4 stud bay. I just want to be to the left of it. So I'm close by in the same stud bay. I've checked to make sure that this is where my stud is, so I want to be in this bay. You have to be in the same bay that your receptacle is in. So I've measured off my wall. I've come over here. The receptacle that I'm coming off of is right about there. So I've measured over. This is where I want the hole to be. You're going to flip your box around and then mark where you want your cut to be. But don't cut these little ears out, because that's what's going to hold it to this side of the wall. So we're going to remove the receptacle. I am not a fan of the stub-in type in the back, so I'm just going to cut these off and then come back and wire nut them all together. I've got plenty of wire, so I'm not worried about shorting myself. So once you've removed your receptacle, you got your wires out here, you're going to take your new wire and you're going to feed it up and through into that wall cavity. Then you're going to go around the other side, stick your hand in the hole you made, and pull out enough wire to make up your receptacle on the other side. Be sure and give yourself plenty. Way better to have too much than not enough. So I left like a foot out of the wall over there. One thing you want to make sure is whatever your breaker size. So if you have a 15 amp breaker, I know this is a 15 amp breaker because I found that when I shut it off. You want to use the right gauge wire. So this is 14 gauge wire, which is what you need for a 15 amp breaker. If it was a 20 amp breaker, then you want to be sure and get 12 gauge wire, which is usually yellow. So when you make up your receptacle, you want to wrap your wires clockwise so they tighten down when you turn the screw. So that wire is going to wrap around this way. I'm going to tighten this down, and you do that so the wire doesn't come off when you tighten the screw. So I've got all my black wires, ground wires, and neutrals tucked nicely into the box, and then I've got these tailed off the receptacle here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and make these up. It's a good idea to wrap this with electrical tape. You've got a lot of wires in this box, just to prevent any shorting. So I've got all these made up nice and neat. Go ahead and make sure you tug on all the wires before you put them back in the box, just to make sure that you have a good connection within the wire nut. So we got our wire step through into the closet here. The feeding receptacle is just right back there. You need to strip off about 9 inches of wire. You can do this with a utility knife, but just be real careful you don't score the wires when you do it. This is a pair of strippers that has a cutter to take the sheath off, but you don't need to have that. So you're going to get your stripped wires, push them through your tab here. And you want it so you just have a little bit of your sheathing extended into the box. And you're going to go ahead and tuck the wire back in there. Set your box, and then you're going to tighten these screws down to cinch it against the drywall. Don't cinch it down too hard, just get it nice and snug. So we've got our receptacle made up. I didn't mention this before, but obviously you go black to your gold screw and white to your silver screw. This is a reused receptacle, so they're kind of tarnished now. But also, you'll notice these little tabs are cut off, and on these cut-in boxes, you want to cut those off so they fit, so the receptacle fits flush inside there, so it doesn't poke out. So these are already scored. You can just bend these back and forth with a pair of pliers, or cut them off with a pair of side cutters. All right, we're all done. It's about a 30-minute job. We've got our new receptacle in, and now we can put our vacuum in the closet.